To me, ARCHway is an organization that helps families who have someone in their family struggling with substance use connect to resources.
So what is ARCHway? It's difficult for me because it's something I have no prior experience of. We were introduced to it by Dan and Jan and their story, and that resonated with us. And one of the things that they mentioned was, everybody has a similar story, and we have a friend who has exactly that similar story, and so that was why we started attending the events to support the ARCHway.
ARCHway is an organization that assists those who are suffering from the disease of addiction and those who are helping and giving treatment and or counseling to those who suffer from the disease of addiction.
I would say that ARCHway is an educational and a supportive organization to reach out to those that are going through mental health issues and addiction. And I think the important thing is they want to help educate the public that addiction is a disease and there are ways to combat it, and they're there to give those folks that assistance and that help.
I have described it to others. Matter of fact, we talk about it with our other friends all the time. And to me, it isn't what I originally thought it was going to be. I thought ARCHway was more into the treatment of, and I believe ARCHway stands for hope and education, and to spread the word out there, what's out there and what's available and what can be done to help people.
So ARCHway, for us in our personal journey, we really didn't have anybody who was there to help or anybody we could talk to. So we view ARCHway as the neighbor you really wanted to talk to about this disease, to find out what they did, what their network was, and that's what ARCHway tries to reproduce, the neighbor next door that you want to talk to.
Their dedication, passion, and commitment to improve the lives of those affected, individuals and family members, will be more than apparent as Dan speaks and tells the ARCHway story. So without further ado, here's Dan Stuckey.
So I'm not the big speaker tonight, Ken is. So I've been given, I'm putting my clock on, I have 15 minutes with a 3.5-minute video, so I have to speak fast. A lot of times I talk about our story, the Stuckey story, but you know what, everybody in this room has a story why they're here. I just happen to be a caregiver. My wife and I are caregivers. Our son, John, could you stand up a sec? John is, wow, this Thanksgiving, 7 years in recovery this Thanksgiving. So, as a caregiver, you will hear my bent on ARCHway. I'm not here to talk about our story, but you will hear our ARCHway story as a bent as a caregiver. If you're like John, he would tell the ARCHway story slightly different. Brian might tell it slightly different. But I'm going to talk about it as a caregiver. And caregivers are in crisis mode too. That's my first story. Caregivers, anybody who's been a caregiver, you know you're in crisis mode. So the first thing, ARCHway. We believe in recovery from the disease of addiction. Hey, you know what? The U.S., the world needs to make that first statement. We believe in it, we're going to make it happen. Big story. ARCHway. Why is the arch big? When John was in recovery, this is John's dream. John's the founder and visionary for ARCHway. When he was early in his recovery, he said there's 4 things that have to happen in the world to change where we're at. And he says, first, we need to bring awareness about this disease to individuals, families, and communities. We need to focus on recovery. We need to get the whole community involved in recovery, because if one piece is broken, it's all broken. And the last one is we need to focus on total health, not just physical health, mental health, the entire health. Amazing that he had that insight back then. So that's where Arch came in. The other one was, we are obviously living in St. Louis, and his second insight wasn't as brilliant, ARCHway. The first one was brilliant. The second one is hope. Hope for the individual, hope for the caregiver, hope for the community. This is our message. ARCHway's message is one of hope. Hope to all involved. I know you watch the news, you're personally engaged, and it can be very depressing and a downer. ARCHway's message is one of hope, and that's the one we want to send everybody. And we need to send it to the entire community, because once you believe in it, you can put us in a different spot. Next one, we have two basic things we try to do. If you think of the caregiver as in crisis mode and the individual is in crisis mode, ARCHway is your advocate for the individual and the family. Those folks need somebody standing right beside them, helping them through the process. We're your advocates, finding information, financial resources, whatever it takes. We are your neighbor next door. The other thing we do is we work very hard to change the stigma about this disease through education and awareness. Sounds really simple, but that's what we do. We say, if you look at the statistics, 1 in 3 families are dealing with this. I think it's much higher. 1 in 10 people over the age of 13 have it, and only 20% ever seek professional help. Boy, we need to educate a lot of people to change that statistic. So, this will sound counterintuitive. Who ARCHway isn't, or not, and who we are. So who we're not. We're not a treatment center. We're not a sober living facility. We are not funded by state or federal grants. And we do not get any referral commissions. We're just somebody who cares. So who are we? We're a nonprofit. We're all funded privately, and we get funds. You know, I know Debbie says, so is all the money going to stay in Fort Myers? We get money from checks from families we've touched from all over the country to help wherever we're working at. So we're privately funded, and we're a nonprofit. Think of us, and now I'm going to tell you from my caregiver side. So, and then you'll understand when I say we're the network you didn't have. We're the network you didn't have. When we were trying to find help for John, our personal physician refused to see John. Our therapist had no clue where to get help in St. Louis. Our minister had no idea where to get help. Said he'd pray for us. We love prayers. We needed more than prayers. Our company gave us a great company. We had 2 EAP visits, right? I guarantee you, not enough. So we had all these folks, and of course we were living the lie of not asking for help, not talking to family, not talking to friends. So think of ARCHway as the network of family, friends, and professionals that you go if you want to ask for help from. So, Ashley, please, your story is why we're here. Honestly, but I'm going to give some statistics. 7 years. You want to know why we feel good? We're a small company, small nonprofit. We've given out $250,000 plus in scholarships in our 7 years. We are now giving out over $45,000 a year now and it's going up. Now here's our two-edged sword. Our typical scholarship is $500. And what we do when we're talking to the community, they'll say, really, $500 makes a difference? And we go, well, at a treatment center, we basically are paying for a deductible for somebody who's being turned away because they can't pay their deductible. And after they come out of a treatment center, if somebody still doesn't have the financial means for an aftercare program, and you have to have an aftercare program, we will pay for the first month's rent until somebody can get their feet on the ground. So $500 can make a huge difference. And Ashley is a prime example of it. But the other message, I call it the backhanded slap to the community, $500, folks, can make the difference in somebody's life. Huge difference. So 250. So we have, that's times 500. We have 500 Ashley stories in the 7 years since we've
A $250 scholarship is 2 weeks of transitional living that somebody can then use to be able to get into treatment and stabilize. Once they're stabilized on medications, they can then look for a job, and that 2 weeks is sometimes what holds them back from focusing on their recovery when they immediately have to get into some place and then have a job the next day and work, whereas they can now focus on maybe a foundation of recovery that is important and then look for the job. When people jump right into that job and that workforce, recovery gets pushed aside because they're so worried about having to pay for cigarettes or food or housing that they're missing the whole point of the foundation for recovery.
We have, how do we do it? We have Hope Fund sponsors. So we get private donors, but we also have Hope Fund sponsorships. And it's usually families we've touched or organizations we've touched. We currently have 31 Hope Fund sponsorships. Hope Fund sponsorships are where somebody makes a commitment over 5 years to donate between $5,000 and $25,000. And then we use those money to help drive our scholarships. That's one of the big things we do. And then people can tell their story. We also are not competing with anybody in the community. It's not about the ARCHway brand. Again, we're the neighbor who's trying to help. So what we do is any community we go into, we're there to partner. And I'm only giving you this as an example because this is what we do. Jan and I do with Punta Gorda and Gail and others, and Mark and Karen Ann. So in Punta Gorda, we do golf outings, and then we give the money, any money we make, we give it to the Sheriff's Department in Charlotte Behavioral Health to pay for scholarships in Charlotte County. If you turn yourself into the sheriff, they won't put you in jail. They'll take you to a treatment center, and he will pay for your treatment. Sheriff Bermel says they don't have a budget for that. So if you can afford, so we raise money and then give it and help pay for those folks that's there. But then you can see we work with the Sheriff's Office. We bring in, every year we bring in outside speakers to educate the folks. And then we work with City Council on it. Okay, just that. All right, keep going. Change the stigma through education and awareness. So when we do this, this is my little cute little slide. 10 people, so the person in blue, 1 in 10 people over the age of 13 have an alcohol or drug addiction. One third of the families in the U.S. are dealing with it, and then the folks in yellow are the rest of the community. So if you're doing education and awareness, you have targeted against each group. You're trying to do something different with each group, and we have those. We have one, I call it the I Wish I Knew. We have a number of folks in recovery and a number of caregivers, and we created 21 1 to 2 minute videos of folks that said, I just wish I had known when I started this journey, I'll give mine, that it was a disease and not a choice. So everybody is sharing something simple, not some 30-page document, but everybody's sharing something they wish they'd known on their journey. And we share this with as many people we can. We also are working on an ARCHway Book of Hope. Again, we're all about showing both better results, because educating folks and showing better results will change this stigma. And so we have Emily. Where's Emily? Emily's the writer. She's from St. Louis, and she's interviewing 18 people and doing interviews and videos about people's stories, about their whole journey. And we're sharing those and putting a book together. Hopefully it will, and it will inspire others. But we have 4 series of things we do. We're advocates of hope. We help families. And in Southwest Florida, we help families find help anywhere in the country. And if you assume somebody's in a crisis, a caregiver's in a crisis mode, finding help for their loved one in Denver, Colorado, Washington, D.C., Minnesota, we are helping somebody in this community. We put on educational and awareness, we have the hope stories, and then we do speaker series.
And I just can't thank you guys enough. 121 days, my daughter has not had a drink. She sounds like a different person. I said to John, my 43-year-old daughter finally sounds like an adult. It was a wonderful program. I can't thank you enough for all of your help. And they were just there, like immediately there for me. And I really appreciate it. I'll never forget it.
Daughter goes to the doctor to treat the pain of a broken leg, an arm, or they go to the dentist to remove a wisdom tooth. Doctors aren't trained to ask, is there a family history of addiction, before they give you that prescription for opioids. They're not trained to ask if there's any trauma in the family or your young son or daughter's life. They're not trained to ask if they're dealing with ADHD or how they're being treated with their peers at school. 2 out of 3 people dealing with opioid addictions started their addiction through a prescription for pain. I wish I knew to ask the right questions when my loved ones were seeking medical treatment for pain.
I was born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1990. My family life and early upbringing were fantastic. I had 2 amazing, loving parents that looked out for me. I had a great life, amazing life, for real. From any outside perspective looking in, it's like, this kid is good.
Yeah.
Like, getting it. But in reality, I think it was the underlining mental health situation going on that led me to feel isolated when I wasn't, that led me to feel like misunderstood, that led me to like seek out, like, we're not going to live, you, me, whoever is not going to live in either like physical or emotional pain for extended periods of time.
True.
Like, I will find a solution. And unfortunately, the solution I found was not a healthy one,
Right.
even though at the time it was effective.
I'm going to say that again, and I can say it the other way. Active addiction is the most treatable, untreated disease in America, or the most untreated, treatable disease. No matter how you look at it, this disease can be arrested, okay? And with lots of prevention efforts, it can be held at bay and not activated. If we truly understand the genetics of this disease, from a prevention standpoint and a treatment standpoint, we can really help wipe out the statistics of people dying, and we'll see a whole lot more people in recovery and in recovery early.
I grew up like every single kid in here, you know what I'm saying, just want to have a dream. I want pretty much to be like everybody else. And always trying to be somebody. His ego started to like transform and take over me. power and fame can be just as harmful to you as drugs and alcohol. And the next thing I know, the NCAA comes in. They investigated me. To find 125 violations, and so they decided to suspend me. And when they suspended me, this was when life really started. And I always say this, life really started when I got suspended from Ohio State. Had I not leaned on alcohol, had I not leaned on drugs, had I not leaned on that stuff, you know, I would be in the NFL. I'd probably play a responsible decision. The main reason I'm here is I'm here on behalf of ARCHway. We help people who are depressed, and we help people who are stressed out, and we help people to basically gain skills mentally, develop things mentally so you can cope with what you're going with and basically get over it. And I'll be more than happy to share your information so you all can get well. But thank you all for having me.
And we're going to do questions at the end. And so I'm just trying to give you a piece of what ARCHway does. Just think of us as the neighbor you wish you wanted to talk to while you were on this journey. Thank you very much for being here.
I have described it to others. Matter of fact, we talk about it with our other friends all the time. And to me, it isn't what I originally thought it was going to be. I thought ARCHway was more into the treatment of, and I believe ARCHway stands for hope and education and to spread the word out there, what's out there and what's available and what can be done to help people.